So before I explain what's really going on during parameter passing, um, let's first run it to see if it gives us the correct answer. Now the height of rectangle is 1000. It's double. It gets doubled, right? Okay. So now let's take a closer look at the method call. So when this method is called, we actually pass a rect1 to it, right? Rect1, again, it's a reference. Its value is the address of this object on heap. Okay, when we pass rect1 to this rect, we pass the value of the argument to the formal parameter. Remember, Java supports pass parameters by value. Okay, so Java supports passing parameters by value. So what's the value of rect1? That is the address of the object, right? So basically, the address of the object will be assigned to this formal parameter. Okay, what does that mean? It means, okay, so as I mentioned, when the method gets called here, when the method double rectangle size gets called here, a new record will be just give me 1 minute. I'm gonna draw it. A new activation record will be created on the top of the stack. Okay, so which means this is the activation record for the method double rectangle size. So this is like the rectangle. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Okay, so this record, this activation record will be created and put onto the stack. So for the new method double rectangle size, like in which it stores like a rect, which by the way is the formal parameter. That's only variable, okay, that needs to be stored in this method. Okay, so that's rect. If you take a look at the code again, the formal parameter, like a memory will be allocated like for the formal parameter. So when the method is called, actually we pass rect1. Okay, we pass rect1's value to rect. So simply like rect1's value will be copied to rect. So what is rect1's value? That is the address of the object. So actually now we pass that address to rect2. So to this rect2. So actually, so from at this moment, we actually have three reference variables pointing to the same object. Okay, so that's the reason why when we try to modify like the value of width and height, after the method returns, like when we try to retrieve like the height using rect2, it gives us 1000, because when we call this method, like rect1's value got copied to rect, the formal parameter. And in this method, like rect is also pointing to the same object, like so. Make sense? That's the reason when you try to double the size, double width and height, it just like affected the one and only object we have created so far. Okay, so like when the method gets executed and returned, when it reaches the closing curly brace, it returns. Once the method gets returned, this activation record will be removed, will be popped out of the stack. So along with including the memory allocated for the formal parameter rect. So like after the method return, like this rect does not exist anymore. So it's destroyed along with activation record for this method. Okay. But even though this reference variable disappeared, the object it used to point to still there, still on the heap. That's the reason when we try to retrieve its height, they give us the correct height. Okay, let me take a look at the time. Okay. So that's what happens. That's what really happens when we try to pass out an object to a method. We literally pass its reference, its address to an object, and we can modify like the content of this object. Okay, since we pass its address, we can use that address to reference that object. So then we can modify that object. I'm going to show you another method. Just due to time limitation, I'm going to just directly copy this method over here. So like this method, you can see here, it takes a rectangle object as a parameter. It also returns an object. So this method is called create rectangle with double size. So it can be called to create a new object, create a new rectangle object with the size, using the size, the height and width of the object you passed in, and then double its size. Okay, with twice the width and the height. Okay, so now if you take a look at this, take a look at the implementation of this method. I actually, within this method, I use the new keyword and invoke the constructor to create a new object. Now pay attention here. We use the keyword new. So whenever you see the keyword new, it should ring a bell in your mind. Now we are creating a new object. Okay, so using twice the size of the given object. So here we retrieve the size, the current size of the rectangle, and then times 2. Okay, we use twice the size of the given object, and by calling this constructor. So I name this reference variable as new rect, and then I return new rect. So here, when we return like a reference variable, we actually return its value. Okay, again, its value is an address pointing to this object. Okay, to call this method, I'm going to go ahead just to declare another rectangle let me declare rectangle 3 and then call this method. So since it is like a value returning method, we have to declare another reference variable to hold the return value, right? So we call this method by passing an existing object. Okay, so we only have one object here. We can pass rect1 or rect2, same thing because they are pointing to the same object. Okay, so let's print out like the height of rect3. Then you guys take a guess what would be the current height of rect3. Now it should be 2000. Okay, it should be 2000. So here you can see we pass the first object, the reference to the first object into this method. And within this method, we create a new object. Okay, back to our so that is the second object we created. Like within, so when we call the second method, the activation record for method create rectangle with double size will be on the stack. Okay, in the stack here we have one formal parameter that is rect. Okay, we pass rect1 to rect, so which makes rect points to the first object. Okay, so in the code we have another local variable. It's called new rect. So memory has to be allocated to store new rect. Okay, so new rect, let's take a look at the code again. So we create a new object. We create a new object, the object2, and set its value, set its address to new rect. So basically from this point on, new rect is pointing to the second object. Okay, the second object within which like the width is twice the width of the original one, the first one twice the height of the first one. Okay, so that's object2. Okay, this is object1. Now when this method returns, it actually returns new rect value to rect3. Okay, so let's add a new variable here named rect3. Okay, so like here we use rect3 to hold the return value from calling this method, right? So it's the value of new rect. What is new rect again? New rect is the value of new rect is the object for object2. So when this method gets returned, like both like rect3 actually holds the address of object2. So remember, when a method gets returned, its activation record will be removed from the stack. So which means new rect does not exist anymore. And rect does not exist anymore because they have their return. Okay, so it has been returned from the method call. Okay, it has been returned from this method call. So after it returns, all the local variables and the form parameters, they just get out of scope. They are destroyed. Okay, but the good thing is we now have the address, the reference of object2 back to rect3. So then we can use rect3 to point to the new object. Okay, now we have two objects. Okay, that's really what was going on when we return an object from calling a method. Okay, so let me take a look at the time. I think we can stop here for passing objects to or get objects from a method call. Okay, so I'll see you in next lecture. Bye.